These tips will help a ton, but they're only general guidelines. Mechabellum is about finding counters, and flexibility can be key. If you find all these tips helpful, like and share my underrated content, and find more detailed guides at the end. We'll start with some basics. Figure out your opponent's starting units and specialist when the game starts to plan unit placement and counters. So on the first round, you'll get a recommended placement button to give some ideas. Playstyles tend to fall into 3 general categories. Standard, where the units line up near the towers. Aggressive, units placed closer to the middle border and sometimes focusing on one side of the battlefield. And defensive, where units are placed farther back and near towers. When the round begins, units move towards the nearest enemy unit or tower that they can attack. Consider spreading your units out to pull the enemy into a fight that's better for you and to avoid clumping up and dying to splash damage. Now click on a unit to see helpful information. If the white arrows move out and float up, that means they can attack land and air. Also take a look at their stats. Here's a simple example. Crawlers move at 16 meters per second and saber-tooths move at 8. This means they'll meet up around double the distance from where the crawlers started relative to the saber-tooth. Be careful that you don't place units behind light ones like mustangs, snipers, or stormcallers, since they can easily be pushed ahead and into danger. Often, fangs, wasps, and crawlers, also known as chaff, are positioned to protect your main damage dealers. When chaff needs to get by towers or heavy units, they tend to spread out a little, making them sometimes harder to clear for the enemy. They don't always have to be sacrificed though. If you see heavy chaff clear from arc lights, for example, position a tank to take the fire. When deciding on vertical versus horizontal placements, consider this. If the units are meant to deal damage, it can help to approach with their broadside facing the enemy. But there's more nuance as well. For example, if sledgehammers are placed horizontally and have to fight a vertical column of chaff, their first volley can fire at the same unit, severely limiting their potential. So experiment with your units and watch how they fare in battle. A lot of late games will have chaff and damage dealers spread out and layered so that they ideally arrive when their counter is busy or dead. Using all your free deployments each round can help keep the pressure on the enemy and avoid falling behind. Whatever you do, just don't rush during your deployment phase. You can only unlock 1 new unit per round, unless you get a new deployment option in between rounds. If you're not unlocking anything this round, consider getting a free unit like Fangs or snipers, especially if they can help counter or defend later. I spent some time learning counters before I felt comfortable, and there's a lot of great resources I've linked in the descriptions and comments below. After the first round, watch your flanks, especially if you're playing aggressive or lack defenses there. Early on, 1 pack of Fangs or a Sentry missile can deter most shenanigans. But keep playing and see the real horrors someone can unleash upon you. And look for your own opportunities to flank or run past enemy weak points. In between rounds, both teams get the same cards to choose from. Predict your enemy's choice and try to counter them. As your units get kills, you'll have the option to upgrade them, which doubles their HP and attack for half the cost of buying a new one. There's a few things to consider before doing this. Let's say you have some giant units, but the enemy has melting points. In this direct fight, giving a giant more HP isn't as effective as having 2 giants in 2 different spots. If you have units that are working like chaff, that is, they're meant to soak up enemy fire and protect your damage dealers, don't bother upgrading unless you know they're dealing critical damage or that the upgrade will prevent them from being one-shot. Light chaff units are often countered easily, so think before you spend your supplies. Units also have technology upgrades. Over time, you'll earn tech points that can be used at the unit modification tab to customize loadouts. Once you purchase a technology in-game, the remaining tech for that unit gets more expensive by 200 supplies after each upgrade. On the right side, you can buy devices like shields, sentry missiles, and anti-missile systems. You can always save money for the next round if you have a surplus, but depending on the situation, you may need these. What I wish I knew about them is that shields are useful for defending against many special abilities like incendiary bombs, missile strikes, and more. Sentry missiles are also countered by shields and missile interceptors, but interceptors take up space on the battlefield. Devices get full HP and stay for the next round if they survive or are unused. But don't blow all your supplies on these early on. For example, if the enemy started with stormcallers, you can still win a round or even an entire battle without missile interceptor tech. Let me show you how here. And do you know how all the tower upgrades and buffs work? Check out this video to learn what I wish I knew before playing Mechabellum. If you found this helpful and want to support my channel, sub and share my content.